What if I were to tell you that this was the last time Abby Choi was ever seen, before she was cooked in a pot of soup by her own family? Abby Choi was an influencer and model from Hong Kong who lived a luxurious lifestyle and had hundreds of millions of dollars in the bank at her disposal. She had hundreds of thousands of followers and had even been featured on the front cover of Vogue and L'Officiel. She was everything an influencer could have dreamed of being, internationally known and wealthy. But in February 21st, 2023, Abby Choi would disappear without a trace. This is the case of appetite and greed. Our story takes place in Hong Kong, a city that pulses with electrifying energy and diversity. The skyline sweeps you away with a symphony of towering skyscrapers where architectural marvels compete for attention. As you step onto the bustling streets, you'll find yourself immersed in a vibrant collision of cultures, where ancient traditions blend seamlessly with modern trends. Alleyways wind through a labyrinth of markets, alive with a kaleidoscope of colors and the lively banter of local vendors. From the tranquil oasis of Victoria Peak to the bustling waterfront of Tsim Sha Tsui, the spirit of Hong Kong is infectious, an ever-evolving metropolis that offers a blend of adventure, exploration, and the promise of an unforgettable experience. But even Hong Kong has a dark side, which is where our horrifying story takes place. Abby Choi Tin Fung was born on July 11, 1994. She was born into an extremely wealthy family who had generated their wealth running a mining and construction business in mainland China. Abby was the youngest of 4 daughters, alongside her father and mother, Chiang Ying-fa. The family of 6 never experienced any poverty or hardship. They were part of China's 1%. Abby Choi's mother was famously known for owning multi-millions of dollars worth of properties. But unfortunately, due to Chinese privacy laws, there's very little we actually know about Abby Choi's family. In June 2012, Abby Choi decided to step into the spotlight by creating her own Instagram account. And with the huge amount of money easily accessible to her, she was easily able to captivate her audience. It was unclear whether it was her generosity, her personality, financial prowess, or a combination of all 3. But one thing's for certain: her audience was growing rapidly as they were captivated by her content. And with her youth, beauty, and air of gentle charm, her online following began to skyrocket. But the real turning point came when she started receiving invitations to exclusive parties. As you can imagine, this is where her journey as an influencer really began to take off. She found herself attending lavish events hosted by luxury brands like Dior, alongside enjoying vacations to lavish destinations like Bali and red carpet events in Paris. She even found herself mingling with an array of different celebrities, which only enhanced her social circle and status. However, amidst all the glitz and glamour, Abby was able to find love at the age of 18 and got married to a man by the name Alex Kwong Chi. Despite being a teenager, Abby got married to Alex and eventually had 2 children with him. But as time went on, their marriage faced challenges and eventually ended in divorce. And in a surprising twist, only 3 years later, Abby was able to find love again and decided to tie the knot. And what's truly remarkable is that despite their separation, Abby decided to maintain a close relationship with Alex and his family. They would meet regularly and exchange thoughtful gifts and gestures. Abby would make sure to send birthday gifts. She would take the entire family on lavish vacations and would frequently take Alex's mom out for dinner. Soon after their separation, Abby decided to buy an apartment for Alex's entire family in Kadoorie Hills. Now, Kadoorie Hills is the most expensive suburb you can live in Hong Kong. And in 2016, Abby purchased this home that would play a key role in this story. She paid a staggering 67 million Hong Kong dollars. Now, to put that in perspective, that's the equivalent of $8.5 million in US currency. Now let's dive deeper into the apartment itself. This luxurious 4-bedroom home spans around 1,800 square feet. It boasts a balcony, stunning marble floors, and an impressive courtyard. It's important to note that this residence is situated in one of Hong Kong's most prestigious and expensive areas to live. What makes this so interesting is that Abby decided to purchase this apartment in the name of her ex-father-in-law, Kwong. Now, there's several reasons why somebody might want to do this in China. By purchasing the apartment in Kwong's name, Abby saved about $1 million in stamp duty fees. Additionally, she saw it as an investment property. And despite recently divorcing Alex, it meant her 2 children had a safe place they could call home. It was really a thoughtful choice, ensuring her family had a safe haven. However, since the apartment was purchased in Kwong's name, it meant him and his wife would eventually move in, making the luxurious Kadori Hill apartment home to 3 generations of the Kwong family. Now, there's somebody else that played a key role in this story, Anthony, who happened to be 31 at the time and was also Alex's older brother. This would also make him Abby's ex-brother-in-law. And just like the rest of the family, Abby bared a significant amount of responsibility taking care of Anthony. Back when Abby and Alex's relationship was going strong, Anthony struggled with unemployment and being able to keep up with the bills. Deeply sympathetic to Anthony's situation, Abby chose to show some compassion and give Anthony a job as her chauffeur. The arrangement not only provided Anthony with employment, but also helped foster a bond between them. As time went on, Anthony even started referring to Abby as his sister. This would highlight the closeness that they had developed in their relationship. Anthony adopted the moniker The Monk on Instagram and shared his teachings on the importance of staying calm. His posts featured tons of photos of him and Abby together. And Abby supported her brother-in-law in many business ventures, such as a pancake house in the city, which he managed whenever he wasn't needed as a driver. And it's rumored that Anthony made quite a bit of money juggling these roles. Following her divorce, Abby eventually found love again in the year 2016. Abby and her new partner, Chris Tam, celebrated their wedding by hosting a lavish ceremony. It was a grand affair where friends and family gathered to celebrate their union. Now, Chris, he was a successful businessman from Hong Kong who came from a family of considerable wealth. His father happened to be the founder of a well-known restaurant chain, Tamjae Yunnan Mexian. Abby and Chris's relationship blossomed, which also led them to have 2 children together. And even though Abby had 2 children from a previous marriage, all 4 of her children had a strong bond. The family of 6 created many memories together. They often spent the weekend in their multi-million-dollar home. They even made it tradition to go on regular family trips to Disneyland. But Abby's family life didn't hinder her success. With her influential connections, she managed to break away from just being a trendsetter and entering the corporate mainstream media. And as we know, her attractive physique and impeccable sense of style played a huge role in this. However, in the end of 2022, Abby's relationship with the Kwong family was far from ideal. The Kwong family had been residing in her apartment for 6 years without paying rent. Initially, Abby was okay with the arrangement, but as she got older, she started to realize that she was being taken advantage of. I mean, she had no obligation to the Kwong family. Early reports suggest that Alex's father may have manipulated Abby into purchasing the apartment for their benefit. And now that Abby wanted to reclaim the apartment, it would prove to be more difficult than initially thought. Little did Abby know that the Kwong family was facing severe financial difficulties. Alex's father, Kwong, was a respected police sergeant in the Hong Kong Police Department. He was known for being skilled at his job and had an excellent reputation. However, everything unraveled in 2005 when he was accused of assaulting a woman, which led him in a downward spiral. Now, rather than fighting the allegations, he chose to withdraw from his position. And in return, the Hong Kong Police Department chose to turn a blind eye and refused to place any formal charges against him. However, Kao wasn't the only member of the family participating in unlawful behavior. It turns out, Alex also had a shady side and was on the run for several years. In 2015, he started an investment scam revolving around gold. He gained the trust of 4 businessmen who invested about 5 million Hong Kong dollars. And instead of trying to turn a profit, he ran off with the money, leaving them empty-handed. At the time, nobody was aware of it. His thefts included a staggering amount of stolen items: 39 necklaces, 32 bracelets, 13 golden bars, 102 golden grains, 6 pendants, and 10 gold tails. On top of this, Alex's older brother, Anthony, found himself in an overwhelming amount of debt. And despite being given so many opportunities by Abby, such as giving him a job and investing in his pancake house, his extravagant spending habits outweighed his income. If you took a look at his Instagram, you'd see that Anthony was committed in portraying a facade of wealth. However, behind the glamorous front, he was crippled by an overwhelming amount of debt. And in the year 2019, his financial troubles finally caught up to him. At this point, he was being sued by the bank, which only added to the financial troubles he was already facing. As for Alex's mother, she was considered the least problematic of the four. She was also facing financial difficulties. And just 3 years prior, she had been declared bankrupt by the court. In the recent years, a stark contrast had emerged between Abby and her former in-law family. Abby's success was on the rise, while their financial state was stuck in the same place. Now, the stark financial difference didn't go unnoticed. She ended up being guilt-tripped on various occasions by the same family that was stuck in the same financial situation while they watched her flourish. Abby's international recognition was starting to grow, and she was now worth 100 million Hong Kong dollars. This is the equivalent of 12 million US dollars. At this point, Abby had sensed their resentment and decided to put an end to all the freebies to the Kwong family, especially when it came to their $8 million apartment. As you can imagine, this conversation didn't end well. Cal got so heated, he threatened to kill Abby if she dared to kick them out. Deeply upset by the situation, Abby sought legal counsel. However, amidst all the turmoil, it was evident that Abby was compassionate and generous. Despite Cal's threats, she managed to take it upon herself to look for a new home for the family. I can't imagine somebody living in my house rent-free for 6 years and then them threatening to kill me. I mean, wealthy or not, it just speaks volumes to the kind heart that Abby had. I mean, amazing human being, if you ask me. Now, certainly, it's important to be realistic here. The new home wouldn't have been as extravagant as an $8 million home. However, just as Abby's plans were starting to take shape, she would suddenly disappear. In February 21st, 2023, Abby Choi would disappear without a trace. She had set out in the early morning to pick up her daughter from school, but when the bell rang, she was nowhere to be found. Her daughter and teachers grew increasingly worried as phone calls and text messages went unanswered. She was reported missing just 2 hours later. Now, this prompted the Hong Kong Police Department to start a swift investigation. Now, due to Abby's status, 150 officers were assigned to her case, and it didn't take long before they came across their first lead. On the afternoon she went missing, her apartment complex captured footage of her being picked up. It seemed like she was getting ready to pick up her daughter from school. And it seemed like the vehicle that picked her up bore a striking resemblance to the vehicle that belonged to her chauffeur, Anthony. Now, despite interviewing Anthony and his entire family, authorities obtained no useful information. Sadly, the entire family had claimed they hadn't seen Abby since the day prior to her disappearance, which sadly revealed something so troubling. It turned out that the vehicle had been driven to the district of Lung Mei Shuen, which is a 20-mile journey from Hong Kong. Upon receiving this information, many officers were dispatched to the area. Door-to-door interviews were conducted. They reviewed nearby surveillance footage from houses and vehicles. And just 72 hours after Abby's disappearance, the authorities focused their attention on one ground floor flat. And tragically, nothing could have prepared them for what waited inside. On the inside of the flat, there was a fully equipped kitchen. The rest of the house was void of furniture. Windows, floors, and walls were concealed in tarps. And inside the refrigerator, they found 2 human legs. And the inside of the kitchen had disturbing items like a meat saw, meat mincing face shields, and raincoats. As they continued their search, they came across 2 large pots of simmering soup. And tragically, it was revealed that this soup contained the skull of Abby Choi and several ribs. The scene was beyond comprehension and deeply unsettling. The authorities were deeply disturbed by the scene that they had encountered. And once the news spread, Speculation and outrage swept the nation. The discovery prompted a huge search for the remaining parts of Abby's body. Over 100 members of the Hong Kong police force and expert divers were deployed. Data analysts, drones, and even dogs were used in this search. However, the search failed to uncover any more remains of Abby. Now, after sweeping surveillance footage of the area, the Kwong family had been seen displaying suspicious behavior. If it isn't obvious to you already, the Kwong family was solely responsible for what had happened to Abby. Now, the real question is, what happened to Abby the day she disappeared? Going back to Tuesday afternoon, Abby had arranged for Anthony to pick her up from Kadori Hills. They had planned to pick up her daughter from school, but the Kwong family had more sinister plans in mind. Little did Abby know that Kwon Kao had already planned her abduction weeks before. He had rented a house weeks ahead of time in order to erase the evidence. After abducting Abby, Anthony had drove the car to the entrance of Lion Rock Tunnel. This is where Alex was already waiting in another vehicle. And once he got in the vehicle, that's when they headed to Lung Mei Suen. And that's where they met Kao on the property. After Abby was reported missing that evening, the authorities reached out to the Kwong family. Both brothers and the father provided misleading information. Suspicions started to arise when their stories just didn't add up. 3 days later, authorities conducted a raid on the property, which led to the gruesome discovery. Promptly, authorities sprung into action to locate the suspects, and the entire family was apprehended on the evening of February 25th. As the news spread the nation, Alex became the most wanted man in Hong Kong. The city was engulfed in a widespread manhunt for Alex and even offered a 200 million Hong Kong dollar reward for any information leading to his capture. The magnitude of this case reached such heights that the Hong Kong Special Forces, the Flying Tigers, were deployed. Fortunately, their efforts paid off as Alex was apprehended the very next day. It turned out that Alex was trying to flee the country on a yacht. It appeared that he bribed a sailor to get him out of the country, paying him 100,000 Hong Kong dollars. However, instead of making his getaway, he found himself confined in a jail cell. Since their arrest, the police have actually filed charges of murder against Alex, Anthony, and Kao. And their mother, Lee, was charged with preventing the course of justice. And Kao's mistress, she was charged with helping Alex flee the country. This even included the sailor who assisted Alex on his planned getaway. And I can only hope that the upcoming trial provides justice for Abby and closure for her family. According to the laws in Hong Kong, the punishment for murder is an obligatory life sentence. That felt like it was a lot to take in. I think it's clear to see that Abby had a heart of gold, and she just wanted to take care of the people around her. And unfortunately, that same heart of gold is what led to this unfortunate circumstance. She felt for the people around her and just wanted to help. And the Kwong family just seemed to want to take advantage of her. I feel for the children that have been left without their mother, her husband that has been left without his wife, her mother and father that's been left without a daughter. And all I can say is that my thoughts and prayers go out to Abby Choi's family. But I want to know your thoughts. Where did this all go wrong? Leave it in the comments below. And that's it for me today, guys. So I'll see you next time when the lights go out.